All right. And we are live. So hi everyone, and welcome to today's live stream. My name is Crystal, and I'm the organizer for the wonderful Rochester chapter and an online business manager. I have one of my dear clients here with us today who is also based out of Rochester, New York. Her name is Leslie, and she has her own online store, craftedbymjandme.com. And as many of you know, if you have attended our in-person events, Wonderful brings women together to cultivate lasting relationships in cities all around the globe. We have numerous chapters around the world, and now that our in-person events have been put on hold with everything that's happening, this chapter has been bringing you live stream meetings and events until we can meet in person once again. So without further ado, Leslie, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little about craftedbymjandme.com.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Craftedbymjandme.com was really kind of born out of my love for crafting and looking for something to do at night after working. I've worked in an office for many, many years, usually as an administrative assistant. So I'm usually kind of not doing things that are very creative, more organizational. So at night, I like to come home and to unwind, do some crafting. And just about 2 years ago, I tried my hand at felting with wool. I've always loved fiber arts. I'm not much of a sewer. I do a little bit of knitting, although I would love to be able to sit and do that more. There's so much knitting that I need to learn, so many techniques. So I tried my hand with felting with wool, and it was right about Christmas time, and I made a little gnome. Let's see if I can find one. I ended up making a little gnome and attached these as Christmas presents, like toppers, kind of decorations to some Christmas presents, and I had some pictures on that I did post on Facebook, and they kind of took off. So I set up a website so that people could order them, and I've kind of added my own line of gnomes along with some other products. I'm trying to expand. I right now am starting a line or introducing a line of silk hand-painted hairpins. I've done some jewelry. The necklace that I have on here is just felted little balls that are strung together, and it's a statement necklace. And I've got some seed beads that are sewn in as well for a little bit of bling. So I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And my daughter is actually doing it with me, but she's still sleeping right now, or else I would introduce MJ to everybody, but she's the MJ and MJ and me. And so it's the two of us, a mother-daughter team. She helps me with ideas, and we do crafting together like we've always done since she was little.
That's amazing. And you got to wake her up. You can't be letting her sleep until 11 a.m.
You have no idea with the quarantine right now. She sleeps. She's up all night long. Her internal clock is just completely messed up.
I'm sure that's the same way with everyone right now. So I love seeing all these new products that you have. So you mentioned you've been creating them with wool. Did you want to maybe demonstrate a little bit of that? Like what goes into the process of creating something like this?
Definitely. And I'm just going to say I've got a whole bunch of gnomes sitting here. I've got a whole bunch of little guys. I've got some toadstools. These are kind of a fun hit. They're perfect to go on like windowsills or in a fairy garden. Wool is actually very environmentally friendly. It's sustainable, which I really love. And it's water resistant. Wool is water resistant. It is heat resistant. So people that wear, this is wool right here, people that wear wool sweaters, it wicks away moisture, but it keeps you really warm. And so it's just really an amazing product. It's shorn from sheep annually to keep them healthy and happy. So it's not, you know, it's an animal product, but animals aren't hurt in obtaining it. So it's a very sustainable product. And so really, let's see, you know what, I'm going to get a color. Let's just start here with some blue. So this is wool felt, or I'm sorry, this is wool roving, just wool in its pure form. This is white, but this is something called, it's a different kind of roving where it's almost kind of stuck together just a little bit. You can order it this way, and for me, it's a little bit easier to start sometimes with this type of wool. And this is the needle I use. It's extremely, extremely sharp.
It looks it.
And as you can see, I hurt myself. I poke myself kind of all the time. Sorry that this is quite messy, but you need to have something underneath you that is a foam pad so that you're not, I don't know if maybe that helps to do this with the camera. That may be a little easier.
Yeah, it does.
That's a little bit better. So I have my nice thick foam mat, my very sharp needle. So this is not something really that's a good idea for kids to use this needle. There is a different kind of felting with wool that is a lot better, easier for children. You can actually wet felt wool. So if you've ever done any knitting, when you knit, you're taking yarn, which is wool that's already formed into yarn, and you're knitting pieces of yarn together and it locks together. But when you felt, if you stab wool, it will actually bind the wool together. So you can use a needle and do it this way, and it will just kind of continuous, the more that you do this, it will lock together, almost like Velcro. The fibers will lock together. So
I can see how dangerous that would be.
You know, yeah, I sometimes try to felt while I'm watching TV, and you really can't look at the TV and not what you're doing.
Right.
Because you will, especially if you get into like the detail work. For example, here's one guy, this is Trig. He has a little hand-painted silk butterfly. I love their little faces, but like the nose, if you can see the nose, it's kind of tiny. And if you're trying to felt that, you really have to pay attention because you're really working with your fingers very closely to this needle. So this is basically how you felt with a needle, but there's another way to do it. And it's a lot safer for children or for people that are kind of clumsy. And you can actually use hot water and soap and agitate the wool with hot water and soap, and that's called wet felting, and it will do the same thing. So that requires hot water, soap, and agitation. So you just kind of have to play and experiment. And so that loose wool that I had a minute ago is now starting to form into a ball. And that's how I formed these. And these are actually kind of, you know, I worked them so that they're very tightly woven. So that's kind of the process, and you can do whatever you want. I mean, people use wool to felt onto canvas, almost like 2D art. You can actually make pictures to hang on the wall. I've made a couple of those. You can make animals. Some people make the first item that I made, and I don't have it here, it might be in MJ's room, was a little owl. So yeah, you can make anything that you want. There's really no limit. When you wet felt using water and soap and agitation, that's actually better for almost making like fabric. So I guess you could wet felt, you know, a three-dimensional form like this, but it lends itself better to making almost fabric or flat items. So a lot of people wet felt wool into silk, to make scarves. There's actually felted clothing, which I would really love to get into down the road. Wet felting is a kind of a different technique, and I'm still learning. I'm still teaching myself. But there's some wet felting artists around the world that are just phenomenal. So that's something that I'm still continuing to learn and teach myself.
Interesting. So I've been working with you for a few months now, and I never really realized the process or what it takes to make these things. So this is really cool to see. So
thanks. Yeah, I'll make like a little form, and I'll kind of put together as a gnome as we talk, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. I would love to see it. So where are your products being sold currently?
Currently, they are online. I do have some products in a very dear friend's store in Tonawanda, which is basically Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually going to hopefully be reopening in a few days. And yeah, it's an amazing store. It's the cutest little boutique. It's called Loose Moose, and you can find them on Facebook. They are right across from the Buffalo Zoo in Tonawanda, and her entire store is handmade items. So I highly recommend checking her out online. I'm not sure if she's able to really sell much online right now because she had just opened up a brick and mortar in January before all this happened. So it's been a rough start, but I do believe that they're trying to open back up because New York State is starting to open up a little bit in our area. I am on Etsy. I do have an Etsy store. That's also Crafted by MJ and Me. And then I have my website, which is www.craftedbymjandme as well. Hopefully soon I will be finding some more stores and boutiques, but I just haven't really gotten to that point yet. I'm just in my first year. So year 2 will be more of finding some actual stores locally and perhaps farther away as well.
That's great. So something that I've been asking a lot of my clients is like, how are you dealing with COVID? How has it affected your business? I know it's a huge concern among, worldwide right now. So yeah, how have you been dealing with it all? Has it been affecting you?
It's, the great thing about having your own online store is that you are able to work from home, which is really one of my goals, is to have this be something that's sustainable that I can do from home, which is, really works for me. I tend to be more of a night owl, so I can work at night, and that suits me better. But since the quarantine, it's been a little bit tricky for me because my husband and daughter are home. So we're kind of all tripping over, as I'm sure every single family is.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of, trying to work together and schedule things. My daughter does have coursework that she's still doing. She's just finishing up 8th grade and just about to enter high school, 9th grade. And so she's on the computer as well. So a lot of the work that I'm doing when I list things online, I do need the computer quite a bit. So we have to work together and work out a schedule. But to tell you the truth, it's really been a great focus. It's been a good way to spend my energy. I know how difficult the quarantine has been for so many people, and I think our anxiety is all a little bit high. So I'm doing my best to focus and be as productive as I can, and work with my family to give them the space that they need. But it's really nice because I've found that a lot of people are ordering to send little gnomes to each other to kind of brighten somebody's day if it's a family member that they haven't seen in a while, a grandma that they can't hug. So that is really a wonderful thing that I've found. It really touches me when people think enough of my creations to want to send them as a way to say I love you to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that's so rewarding. But yeah, it's really interesting to see how each person in the world is kind of dealing with what's going on right now. Like for Shane and I mean, we work from home, so nothing really changed
Yeah.
except we haven't been able to travel, and we travel all the time. So it's just really weird to be stuck at
Yeah.
home. Like it's one thing to work from home, and it's a whole other thing to be stuck. So
Not have the option. I agree completely.
yeah, and
And
I'm
that
sure so many people in Wonderful is feeling the same way, because our whole chapter is all about traveling, and it's for the women who like to travel and travel together, and we
yeah.
just can't do that right now. We were supposed to be having a wonderful conference in May, and I was planning on going, and that's
Yeah.
been postponed until October, and I don't even know if that's going to happen, just because, you know,
Who
like
knows?
people
Yeah,
can't
what's
travel
gonna happen?
overseas still. I don't see it opening anytime soon, and yeah, it's just been crazy and really interesting to see what's happening. So um, our wonderful chapter is all about exploring different places in Rochester. So I would love to get into, talking about our city. I love that you're local too. You're one of my only clients that are actually local. I have so many people from all over the world, so it's really close. It's really cool to have someone so close to me. So I know your brand is all about the outdoors and finding magic, but tell us maybe your favorite hiking places in Rochester. Where would you suggest someone go?
Yes, our products are really inspired a lot by nature and playing outside and getting outside. And one of the things that I love to do is to incorporate the wool is, as I said, it's a natural material, but it's obtained ethically and it's sustainably sourced. While we hike, we also find branches that are, felled after a storm. We don't really cut anything ourselves. Here I have a bunch of little pebbles that I've collected on our walks. I have a 3-year-old niece who loves little pebbles, so she helps me collect those. We find acorns and we incorporate those into our products. There's one little gnome that has a felted acorn, so we go out when we hike and we do find acorns for the caps to use with our gnomes. And where I live in Penfield, New York, in upstate New York, there are so many trails right down the street from me. Arundecoit Creek flows through the area, and there's a whole bunch of parks. I'm sure, I think I've seen pictures that you've posted from Ellison. There's Spring Lake Park, which is really close to where we live. There's, and it's all the same body of water. So there's a lot of trails, or a lot of parks that have trails that they're kind of interconnected, and the same body of water runs through that. We like to jump in the car too and go to one of our favorite spots is the Bristol area, Canandaigua and Naples in upstate New York. And that's, it's on Canandaigua Lake. It's part of the Finger Lakes. And one of the places that we love to go is Cummings Nature Center to hike there. That's a gorgeous spot. We also love to camp when we get the chance. It's been a while. We haven't been able to camp, I don't think, in the last year. And it looks like we may not be able to this summer. I'm not sure. Hopefully we will. But we love to go to Ithaca, to Trumansburg, and to the parks that are there, the waterfalls that are there. And the hiking is just amazing in the Ithaca area.
Yes.
So that's another favorite place for us.
Yeah. So like I said, we travel a lot. So we've only been living here for maybe 3 years now. And I feel like we are finally being able to see all these parks that we've been putting off because we have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, you got to stay local.
Yeah. And
You're
our favorite
for
is,
like to go outside and hike. This area is amazing. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
This area is amazing. You're stuck in a good area for hiking.
Yeah, absolutely. And we live right down the street from Durand Eastman Park, and so we go there a lot. We love being near the beach and the lake. And you're right, like
Yep.
all of these trails nearby are all, located with one body of water, but each park is different. Like each one is just so different. We love going up to Chimney Bluffs. That's like stepping
Oh
into
yeah,
a whole
that's a
another
great
world.
place.
It's completely different and beautiful. And we
It's
love,
it's like it's
yeah,
a
it's like
different
from,
planet almost. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it definitely is. It definitely is. And I love it. And we like going to Letchworth too. But the thing right now is we've been wanting to go to all these different parks, but we'll drive by one and we're like, ooh, too many cars are there. Um, so
Yeah.
we won't stop. We'll just keep going till we find a different park that doesn't have as many cars and stuff. So it's been really interesting. And I also have seen that they're closing parks down if they have too many people. So we've been really trying to find. Okay, are you still there?
I'm there. I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what happened, but I lost Zoom completely. But it still shows we're live, so I'm gonna just keep going. All right, so now that we've talked about some hiking places in Rochester, and I see this gnome coming together, that's so awesome. If one of our members from a different state or country were to come visit Rochester, and you were given the chance to show them around, where would you go and what would you do?
Highly enough about the area. Are we live? Oh, we're live again.
Yeah, we're live. I don't know what keeps happening, but you're
Uh,
doing a great job with the gnome, so just keep going.
am I doing anything that could be causing this?
I don't think so. It might be
Okay.
my internet. I'm not really
Okay.
sure.
Um, so one of the places where I would love to take anybody that's not familiar with the area is Highland Park, especially right now. Our lilacs are just past peak, but I bet you there's probably still quite a bit of lilac trees there. And for anybody that doesn't know, Highland Park is a huge lilac garden. I think, if I'm not wrong, I did look it up, and it's like one of the largest collections of lilac trees and bushes in the United States. It's been around since I think the late 1800s. Don't quote me on that, but you can go online and look up Highland Park and look into it. I think, I don't know, Crystal, do you know about this at all? I think the lilac trees were a gift back in the 1800s.
Yeah, they were. They were a gift to, I think, Durand or
Right.
Mr. Eastman, if I remember correctly. But it was really cool because we were able to do a ghost tour of Highland Park area. So we learned a lot of different history. And that was with the Rochester Ghost. I forget their full company name, but I highly suggest you do their tours because they're so informative. And I love hearing
Yeah.
like, unique history about the places around here. Um, we also did
Yeah.
like one in Seabreeze because we live right down the street from the park. So it was really cool to hear
Such a
the
cool place.
history and the people who have died at Seabreeze. And it was really cool. So yeah, as far as Highland Park goes, highly suggest it. I love the Lilac Festival that they do.
Yep.
And I love the Sunken Garden and Castle. I forget the name of the castle, but that's like right near the park. And we love going to see the Sunken Garden area. Are you still
So
there?
it's so much to do. Yes. Can you see me?
I can, yeah. It says the connection's bad.
Here. Crystal?
Yes. you there?
Hi. Yes. Can you see me or hear me?
Yes. Just
Hello.
very spotty.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. So
I
how's
wonder
the gnome coming along?
if that's me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My internet says it's fine, but who knows? Oh, that's so cool.
I just love that. I just moved my camera a little bit just in case it was me. So I'm not sure. My house has some iffy reception every once. At first, the gnome looks very rough, but the more you work at it, you know, it's really pliable, and you can really make and mold these into anything that you want. My favorite part when I do get them finished is their smile. I put on their nose, and then their beard goes on, and the way that I have their beard, it's just a happy accident that it kind of, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of creates a little smirk. And another thing that I love is that they all end up being completely unique. Like they actually have almost their own little personalities. Oh, and I have some of my felted bracelets on too.
Nice.
They're nice and soft. Yeah, so I'm all sorts of bedazzled with felt right now.
Now, the gnome that you're making right now, is it a gnome from your collection or is it a new one?
Yes, this is, I couldn't find all the right colors, so I've got a little bit of different, I think there's some orange and some red in here. So this is kind of just an example, but this is actually probably the closest to Erin.
Okay.
Erin is, so in my collection, I think there's 12 gnomes right now. And Erin is kind of a traditional gnome. I've given each of them names. Actually, this is where my daughter MJ helps me. We come up with names together and a backstory for each of them. And when, I know this is going to be backwards, when I ship out a gnome that someone has ordered, they order them by name, and a card comes with it, just a little bookmark, because we love reading, we love stories. And this is Rowan. This is his card. Rowan is a garden gnome. And we came up with a story together, my daughter and I. The story that we came up with for Rowan is that has a very gentle disposition and is a hard worker, but that he tends to be a bit of a daydreamer. And here we've caught him as he has stopped for a rest under a wild daisy. The sun is bright, and this daisy makes for a pleasant umbrella. So he likes to tinker at home. He is a wood carver when he's not working. And gnomes live hundreds of years. Rowan is actually a very young gnome at 128 years old. So we've made the daisy. This is handmade as well, and it's on a wire stem, and it's kind of fun because it kind of has a little bit of a movement to it. Mm-hmm. So that's Rowan.
Cute.
Yeah,
I love that you include a story with each one of them. That is so creative. Yeah. And I love how you kind of just let your imagination run with it. That's so great.
It's fun. I mean, over the past 20 years, I've worked in a job, as many of us do, that, you can't really be creative. So this is kind of and having, well, she's now 14, but when she was younger, we used to love to make little fairy gardens, and we used to draw little fairy houses. We would always craft and play and draw and read together. Mm-hmm. So this kind of just, I guess, was a natural progression for us in the way that we use our creativity. And it's been a really great way as she's gotten older. Now she's a teenager, but we still craft together, and she's been helping me a lot with the butterflies, and it's a good excuse for us to do something that's fun and creative and kind of childlike together. And I think we all need to feel unashamed to embrace being imaginative and doing childlike things. So that's another aspect of MJ and me, crafted by MJ and me, that we like to were a child and let their inner child, just stab myself, let their inner child kind of come through every once in a while.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So he's coming together a little bit.
Awesome. So I know you were showing some of your new products in the beginning, like the butterfly hairpins. What other, like, what do you see yourself creating next? Is there anything planned?
I really am determined. Yeah, I have ideas all the time. Right now, the butterflies are keeping me busy for summer, but I'm learning quickly with a handcraft online business. You've got to kind of think like 6 months ahead. So I really need to start actually thinking of fall again very soon. I'm not a very organized person. I'm late for everything like I was this morning, and I apologize again profusely. So I'm sure, you know, I'll be late thinking about my fall line too. But I am trying to work on wet felting and to get into some scarves and felt fingerless mitts. I'm perfecting my technique with wet felting. So I hope to have some wearable items, hats possibly, and scarves and things like that, that would be warm and soft and fun to wear. So hopefully I'll be adding them shortly.
Awesome. Well,
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I am going to wrap this up. I can't wait to see all these items that you're going to continue creating. So if anybody has any questions for Leslie or myself, feel free to post them in the comments now, or just post them in the comments after, and we'll make sure to get back to you. Thank you all for joining this amazing live stream today. So be sure to check out craftedbymjandme.com. She has some adorable gifts. And be sure to follow her on social media and say hello, introduce yourself. And yeah, we hope that you can join us for next month's event for Wonderful. Depending on what's going on, it could be an in-person event. We don't really know right now, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to see each other again really soon. Leslie, with all of that being said, is there anything that you want to finish off with?
Thank you so much for asking me to do this and join you guys. Wonderful is an amazing group. I love that you promote traveling and friendship, and it's a lot of the same things that are near and dear to our heart. It's good to see you, and I appreciate so much that you have asked me to join you today. This is a lot of fun.
Of course. I hope that you can join our in-person events once they start again.
Yes. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Hopefully it'll be very soon.
Yes, I hope so too. All right. Take care, everybody. Leslie, stay online with me for just 1 second.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.